going to have to hurt you.
It's the pre-show fight.
I'm going to have to hurt her.
It's because I'm right so much that upsets you, isn't it?
Yeah, that must be it.
Hi, everybody. We're the Fightin' Boomer Broads. We've got to try and get along.
I think it's
Why
the camera
can't
goes
we just
on
get along?
And we have
no,
to
it's
fight.
you. It's you. It's just you. And the way you behave. All right. I'll
I know they
explain
share
to you.
my grief.
I'll explain to
misery.
you what is upsetting me personally so much, and I'm sure Anne-Marie will speak up for herself. She's known to do that. We wanted to take
in a word.
all right.
Mine is easy.
We wanted to take a look, not at ourselves and why we irritate each other, but this phenomenon, the situation that, of course, just the tragic situation that happened to Amy Winehouse and her very young, too young, and
27.
how she, at the age of 27, she joined so many people who died at the age of 27, from Janis Joplin to Jimi Hendrix to Kurt Cobain, Brian Wilson. From the Rolling Stones.
Really?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. All 27 years old.
Unbelievable.
And it made me
I think
think,
our audience will appreciate this line of thinking, too.
well, yeah, it made me think, and I used to, when I was in college, many, many years ago, we studied Tennessee Williams, who was one of my favorite playwrights. And his very famous line was, "There is nothing more tragic than the high school quarterback. Someone who rises to the top of their life at the age of 17 or 27. And here, everything we hear about, and we're kind of proof of this, or living proof of this, that you do get better as you age, and sometimes success at a really young age is a really bad thing.
It's not only so much that you get better as you age, although you and I believe that. It's that you feel better as you age. You feel better about your life, yourself, whether it's successful or not. You're able to cope better. In my 20s, I was miserable. Everything was so big and so overwhelming and so I can't handle it. And so, I mean, I remember birthdays would send me into a tailspin. And the older I've gotten, the more I've enjoyed it. I celebrate the fact that I have a birthday. I'm so lucky to have a birthday. Plus, there was just recently a big survey. I wish I'd thought to bring it in, but on how boomers are the happiest people, happiest demographic out there. Because I think as you age, you do appreciate your life
and now
and your surroundings and whatever success or whatever you have.
And boomers now are also so healthy. It used to be with our parents' generation, or maybe their parents' generation, by the time you hit your 50, you weren't feeling really good.
Well, because you had other things to worry about,
and you had
like food.
Money issues and all those things. Now
and Nazis. I mean,
and not to say there are not many of our viewers who don't have money problems or issues, or health problems or issues, but as a generation, we are also, though, healthier and wealthier, and feeling, I think, very blessed as a demographic.
Yeah.
And the Amy Winehouses of the world and the Kurt Cobains, in the 20s are such a difficult decade. It is such a fumfering around, figuring out your life decade. It's hard to be happy.
And it's
and you throw cocaine in there, and there it goes.
You throw
it's
drugs.
Over. You throw alcohol, cocaine, and heroin.
An inappropriate
segue.
An inappropriate segue to my child, who doesn't do drugs, as far as I know, or anything terribly
but for some
serious.
reason she thought of you.
Well, only because she just turned 30, and I believe that her 20s were angst-filled. And her 30s, she seems to be more settled. She seems to be able to cope differently, better.
Yeah.
And
her 40s will be even better.
Even better. And then you get to your 50s and your 60s, and you're like, I'm grateful for every minute.
Yeah.
Every hour that I have.
When you look at like the Amy Winehouse or the Janis Joplins, I mean, do you think you've hit your stride? Did you? If you did hit your stride, at what age? What was it for you? Were you like? For me, I thought the 40s were. I'm still happy. I'm in my 50s, and I feel very on top of things. But my 40s, I really felt like I hit my stride.
My 50s, but I'm pretty darn happy in my 60s. I mean, honestly, I think the older you get, as I say, I think you're just grateful for every day.
You could probably work a little harder about making those around you happy. That you're happy.
Especially you, right?
I hate to beg.
Especially?
I hate to beg.
I feel very, honestly, I feel very blessed.
Yeah.
And by the way, I don't see my role as making you happy.
No, I guess
not.
By the way. That's quite apparent.
Just FYI.
Very, very obvious. But it did bring, in other words, I think everybody has been talking about this 27, and I was trying to think to myself, where was I? What was I doing at 27? I didn't start working with you until I was 28. So at
You were
27,
still
I was
pretty
probably
miserable.
unemployed.
And you're still pretty miserable in your 50s. What is it?
What do you mean? You mean as a personality? Miserable?
No, to me.
Oh, yes, well, sure. But I was thinking Amy Winehouse hit her peak at 25 years old. She was doomed. These people are
No,
doomed.
it's so sad, though.
And it's just and I think the Tennessee Williams adage is absolutely right. There is nothing sadder than hitting your stride
In
at
your
18,
20s.
20, 25 years old. So all of you people out there who have kids who are so miserable, and they all are, they're in their 20s, they're figuring things out.
Part of the
Remind them how lucky they are that they haven't hit their peak.
That you can't hear that
You
in your
don't want
20s,
to.
though.
I know.
You really
I
can't
know.
hear that.
I know.
I don't think Amy, I think if anybody, perfect example is Amy Winehouse. I mean, look at her.
I know.
And she was a success. Look at her.
Well, what does that mean, look at
She
her?
was like a mess.
Yeah.
You know,
They
wandering
all
the
were.
streets in bathrobe and doing, a mess.
Sure.
And she was so wildly successful.
Well, she was so because she was so widely talented.
She
And
just couldn't see it.
Well,
Couldn't
she was
see
an
it.
addict, and once you're addicted, it's over. Although you find there's a couple like a Robert Downey Jr., who I thought was
Okay,
gone.
right. Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah.
You thought his life was...
Really?
And you find a partner who obviously helps you get on the straight and narrow. They're few and far between, but most of them surround themselves with people who just are enabling and want to buy
And get
their
them the
love
drugs.
with the drugs and reap the monetary benefits of being with someone who's rich and famous and blah, blah, blah. But it's a very, very tragic tale. And based on what I've heard, I was not a huge Amy Winehouse fan. I liked the songs, a few of her songs.
I found her fascinating.
But I found
fascinating.
The response of the people within her industry, like Adele and Lady Gaga, she obviously was
Touched a chord.
she was an amazing talent, and they really admired her. And it is, in fact, even though people have been making some fun of it, like what a surprise, that kind of reaction. It's very sad.
Oh, I think it's very
tragic, and she
I'm not making any
could have
jokes
had a
about
good,
it.
long career and been extremely successful. But,
By the way, as every single one of these people. I mean, I hate
you
to
almost
say it,
wonder
but,
if they were more famous, like
I
a
mean,
Janis
who could have
Joplin,
been, who could have been
or a
more
Jimi
successful?
Hendrix. Could they have? Did this make them even more famous? Dying young, like a Marilyn Monroe, you become iconic. You're always preserved as that young.
Yeah, there's that thought.
There's
but,
that. I mean, Jimi Hendrix could have aged into an old crotchety God knows
Yeah, but
what.
Elvis was aging
He
into
became
an
a
old crotchety.
horribly fat, paunchy.
And even a Michael Jackson and those kinds of people, they do become caricatures a little bit.
They do.
But the talent is so wild. It's so great.
Yeah.
Well, the other story that really touched me this week is this woman, and I unfortunately don't. Let me see if I get her name. Nafissatou Diallo.
Flows right off your
Goes
tongue,
by
doesn't
Nafi,
it?
by the way.
Goes by Nafi, as
So
well
I've
she
heard.
should.
As well she should. Well, what do you think?
Well,
This is the woman who had accused Dominique Strauss Kahn, and then was, they dismissed all the charges because she supposedly had a history of some kind.
Lying and making things up.
But what do you think? She's now come out and said,
if I were someone who had lied for as a career, like they claim she did, I would not have done what she did. It makes me think that she is being honest, which I have always thought. I'm sorry, which I have always thought, and I think he is a scumbag.
I think he's a scumbag.
I really do, and I think
who's going to get? By the way, who's going to get away with it?
Is she doing what is she doing? A 2020 or a?
No, she did a GMA yesterday.
Oh, she did. But isn't she doing a nighttime thing? I
Honestly,
think she is.
she might. I've
I
been
think
a little
she
busy.
is.
I
think Dateline or one of them. We'll put it on. We'll write it down because we know nothing. Our producer Kate will find out.
Hi, Kate. Kate Dolan, our new producer for a month.
The usual.
Then leaving. She is on the cover of one of the weeklies this week.
Oh, she is?
Yeah, so that's how the story
Well,
goes.
I just believe her. I don't think you come out and do what she's doing unless... I'm hitting my hand, that's why I don't... I don't think you do what she's doing if you're a liar.
Not in PR.
You go
From
away.
the PR side, you definitely don't.
Yeah, you just go away. So I think she's telling the truth, and I'm hoping that he'll get his.
Well, there are others who have now come out and said they're going to sue him.
Let's hope so.
I say let's do it.
Let's hope so. As he gleefully... And what's with his wife? Again, I say it a million times. What is with these women that stick with... Thank you, Maria Shriver.
Excuse me.
For being the first one to say, F you, I'm walking away.
And what do you think it is?
She don't think she'll make plenty of money by leaving him? She'll make plenty of money. I don't know what's wrong with
The
this
power
woman.
and the money. It's the power and the money.
There's
The money and the power.
Scumbags. What are you staying with him for?
know,
You're going to
I
sleep
know.
with this guy?
Ooh.
Oop, oop. All right, and on the oop-hoo note, thank you so
Another
much.
fine way for you to wrap things up
We
this week.
start them well and we end them
We're
well,
going to
don't
keep
we?
it short this week also.
Yes,
because we're extremely
Thank us later. We know. We'll see you next week.
Have a good week.
Bye,
Stay
everybody.
healthy and stay happy, okay?